How do two 10-inch tablets from Samsung compare? I'm Taylor Martin, this is Pocket Now, and this is the Samsung Galaxy Tab 3 10.1 versus the Nexus 10. Until last year, the tablet industry was still largely dominated by Apple. And while Apple still leads the market share race by a significant margin, Android tablet manufacturers are closing the gap, especially Samsung. Like with its smartphones, it saturated the market with the Galaxy brand, offering a wide array of sizes, specifications, and price points. In fact, Samsung offers so many different tablets it's created some overlap, similar products that are competing against one another, or cannibalization. The company released the first full-size Nexus tablet in November of last year, the Nexus 10, and just weeks ago it announced the third-generation Galaxy Tab 10.1. The two devices follow the same pricing structure, yet offer quite different specifications. But which one is the better tablet? That's what we're here to find out. Externally, these two tablets have their fair share of differences. The Nexus 10 is one of the only Samsung devices in the last several years to deviate from Samsung's standard design language, and rightfully so. It's one of the only Android-powered Samsung tablets that doesn't bear the Galaxy moniker. Unlike practically every other Samsung device, the Nexus 10 does not feature the metallic trim around the bezel. It features a classy, grippy, soft-touch coating over the back and sides of the chassis, and it doesn't feature the Samsung branding on the front. Also, because it is a Nexus, it features on-screen navigation buttons, not the custom Samsung button layout, a physical home button with the capacitive menu and back buttons to the left and right, respectively. The Tab 3 10.1, on the other hand, is unmistakably part of the Galaxy brand. Despite its larger size, it closely resembles practically every other Samsung device made in the last 2 years, with, of course, the exception of the Nexus 10. It bears the same branding, button layout, and design language as the Galaxy Note 8.0, Galaxy S4, etc. With that said, the Nexus 10 isn't entirely unlike Galaxy-branded devices. In fact, there are certain similarities which are telltale signs it's a Samsung device, that these two tablets are more related than one might initially think. The power and volume button placement are similar, both are located on the top left edge. The overall shape isn't terribly different, and the intricate details like the machine speaker grills reveal how closely related these two tablets truly are. Despite the ever so slightly smaller display, the Nexus 10 is larger in all dimensions, as well as heavier. The Nexus 10 is 263.9mm wide, 177.6mm tall, 8.9mm thick, and hits the scales at 603 grams. The Galaxy Tab 3 10.1 is 243.1mm wide, 176.1mm tall, 8mm thick, and 510 grams. That's a noticeable 20.8mm wider, 1.6mm taller, 0.9mm thicker, and 93 grams heavier. Specifications also set these two tablets apart. The Galaxy Tab 3 10.1 is practically a Galaxy Tab 2 10.1 with a slightly smaller battery and an Intel Atom processor. It features a 10.1-inch display at 1280 by 800 pixels, 1GB of RAM, 16 or 32GB of fixed storage with a microSD card slot, 3.1 megapixel rear camera, 1.3 megapixel front-facing camera, a 6800 mAh battery, and a 1.6 GHz dual-core Intel Atom Z2560 chip. The Nexus 10 has a 10.055-inch display at a resolution of 2560 by 1600 pixels, 2GB of RAM, 16 or 32GB of built-in storage, a 5-megapixel primary camera, 1.9 megapixel front camera, 9000 mAh battery, and a 1.7 GHz dual-core Exynos 5250 chip. Despite being bigger and heavier, if we were to pick a single winner in the hardware department, the Nexus 10 wins by a landslide. The Tab 3 10.1 is composed of the very same hyperglazed finished plastic as found on the Galaxy S4. It's a fingerprint and scratch magnet and literally impossible to keep clean, and very little about it feels premium. It's sturdy and the frame doesn't flex or creak, but the button configuration feels out of place on a 10-inch tablet which will primarily be used in landscape. And its specifications leave much to be desired. The Nexus 10, however, is one of the more premium-feeling Android tablets, and while its Exynos chipset may not be the most powerful ever, it has an additional gig of RAM, a much larger battery, and a display that's in an entirely different league than the Tab 3 10.1s. In color reproduction, contrast, and viewing angle, the Tab 3 10.1 has a noticeable advantage, but the display resolution is a major disadvantage. At virtually the same display size, the Nexus 10 features 4 times the pixels, 2560 by 1600 pixels to the Tab 3 10.1's paltry 1280 by 800 pixels. In terms of density, the Nexus 10 has double the PPI, 300 pixels per inch to the Tab 3 10.1's 149 PPI. There's noticeable pixelation around the edges of home screen icons with the Tab 3 10.1, and it's largely reminiscent of tablets from 2011. For a $400 introductory price, we can't help but feel the display on the Galaxy Tab 3 10.1 is unacceptable, especially when you consider the display resolution on the Nexus 10 and the fact that many high-end smartphones bear 1080p resolution. Hands down, the Nexus 10 is the winner in hardware. The software in these two Samsung tablets is quite different as well. While both come with Android version 4.2.2, the Galaxy Tab 3 10.1 comes with a diluted version of TouchWiz, and the Nexus 10 offers the purest stock Android experience. Switching between the Nexus 10 and the Tab 3 10.1 is very much like switching between the standard Galaxy S4 and the Google Play Edition Galaxy S4. However, the Tab 3 10.1 takes one of our longest standing issues with Android and amplifies it. Many Android applications are not optimized for use with tablets and waste a ton of display space by not utilizing paned windows or split views. Likewise, it feels like Samsung failed to fully optimize TouchWiz for its latest 10-inch tablet. Between Ice Cream Sandwich and Jelly Bean, Google aimed to streamline the different Android experiences on tablets and smartphones. In 4.2, stock Android tablets received a quick settings pane to the right, while the notification shade remains a pull-down menu on the left. It keeps notifications tight and concise. The TouchWiz notification shade on the Tab 3 is full screen, not divided between a quick settings shade and the notifications, and we understand why this is. Samsung incorporates its quick toggles in the notification shade in TouchWiz, but there is still a button in the top right corner which is meant to reveal more quick settings. However, only the notifications disappear when you press the button. There are no more toggles to display or add to the bar. And the version of TouchWiz on the Tab 3 feels poorly optimized and rough around the edges throughout use. For example, it's missing some of the most useful, important pieces of TouchWiz. There is no multi-window feature, though the arguably useless feature Smart State is included. The Nexus 10 is a definite change of pace. The software on the Nexus tablet has been perfectly crafted to work well with the larger display. Updates are promised to come directly from Google shortly after a new firmware version is announced, and of course it features all of the Android 4.2 features the Tab 3 is missing, such as multi-user support. All the software talk means very little without a performance comparison. Primarily, we're very impressed with the Intel Atom chipset found in the Galaxy Tab 3 10.1. It's snappy, and in general was quicker to load applications than the Exynos chipset in the Nexus 10. The Intel chip allows for smoother scrolling, it returns home more quickly after you disable the S-Voice shortcut, and simply put, it's a powerful chip. Even in synthetic benchmarks, the 1.6 GHz dual-core Intel Atom chip has proven to be a more powerful chip than the 1.7 GHz dual-core Exynos. In Antutu, for example, the Tab 3 10.1 consistently scored over 20,000, whereas the Nexus 10 struggled to keep up with a consistent score in the 13,000 range. But if we left it at that, we'd only be grazing the surface. The Nexus 10 has twice the RAM, meaning it's much better suited for multitasking. After opening just a handful of applications on the Tab 3, some previously opened applications would be purged from memory and would have to reload, where the Nexus 10 could easily pick up where we just left minutes before. In the multimedia department, the Nexus 10 has several clear advantages over the Tab 3 10.1 as well. Two of those are display quality and resolution, and front-facing speakers. The Tab 3 10.1 speakers are on the left and right edges toward the top, and if you happen to hold the tablet a certain way, it's easy to cover the speakers up. The speakers on the Nexus 10 span the majority of the left and right edges of the face of the tablet, are louder since they're facing you, and are virtually impossible to cover up on purpose, much less accidentally. Battery life is difficult to comment on just yet, as we haven't had a chance to fully put the Galaxy Tab 3 10.1 through a thorough test. On paper, the Nexus 10 is a champion with a 9,000 mAh battery to the Tab 3's 6,800 mAh battery, but you can't directly compare stamina by milliamp hours. The Tab 3 is running an Intel Atom processor, and the Nexus 10 uses Samsung's own Exynos chip. So far, the battery life between the two tablets seems comparable, but for more on the Tab 3 10.1 stamina, stay tuned for the full review next week. The cameras, if you're into that sort of thing on a tablet, are quite different though. The 3.1 megapixel camera on the Tab 3 is there for technicality purposes. It produces low quality shots that lack detail and vibrant color. The Nexus 10's camera isn't quite as nice as a modern flagship smartphone's camera, but it certainly performs quite a bit better than the Tab 3's meager image sensor. The more we use the Galaxy Tab 3 10.1, the more we find ourselves questioning why Samsung even bothered making the Tab 3 in a 10-inch model. Better yet, we're wondering why Samsung failed to bring it up to speed, so to speak, with other 10-inch tablets. It's not markedly cheaper, nor does it have impressive specifications. Other current generation 10-inch tablets from Samsung negate the need for the Tab 3 10.1, especially considering it starts at $400. The like-designed Galaxy Note 10.1 is better in almost every way. It has an S Pen, a fully developed version of TouchWiz, and a more than capable processor, although it is $100 more. And the Nexus 10 costs the same and has a much better display, more RAM, and software that actually feels like it was meant for a tablet. It's not that the Tab 3 10.1 is a bad tablet though. It's just that it doesn't make a lot of sense. The only notable difference between it and the last generation 10-inch Galaxy Tab is the Intel processor. And while we're happy to see the Intel processors at play, we're almost certain Samsung could have found a better tablet to put an Intel chip in. This time around, the Nexus 10 wins by a rather wide margin. It's a no-brainer. That's going to wrap it up. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to click the thumbs up button below and subscribe. And stay tuned for more videos on the Galaxy Tab 3 10.1. Follow us in all the usual places, Twitter, Google+, and Facebook at Pocket Now. You can find me on Twitter at CasperTech. I'm Taylor Martin, and I'll see you soon.